How many times did you find yourself always repeating cycles? And do you think there is a way that you can actually break them? First, you need to understand what the patterns are. And understanding means being open to learning. And you need to know that a lot of people learn in a variety of ways. So, classical conditioning is learning that actually can happen unconsciously. And a behavior that is paired with a reinforcer encourages that behavior to be repeated. And operant conditioning is learning through a series of rewards and punishments. And verbal learning involves your communication through signs, pictures, words, or even symbols. And observational learning happens through observation and imitation of other people. And you can also learn by trial and error, insight, or even punishment. So, you learn and then you integrate this new information into your daily life. However, often, as a person, you can repeat cycles even when you told yourself that you wouldn't. How many of us do that? Think about the way that you parent. How often, perhaps you have said, I'm not going to yell at my little child, yet you found yourself doing it time and time again. And this cycle repeats itself, and it leaves you to wonder, why the hell do I do this? So, this repetition goes back to all the ways you learn, including conditioning and reinforcement. It also involves the pleasure of the reward and the pain of the punishment. So when you try things out, wait for the outcome and then develop insight into why you did or you didn't do something. And you get to learn more about the world, about others, including yourself. Some people can actually learn these lessons immediately, while others second guess themselves. And how quickly you learn or you don't learn from your actions is often tied to the earlier messages you received. Has anybody ever questioned you? Do you really think that that person is a good friend? Or perhaps, are you really going to eat that? So these seemingly innocent remarks, often heard perhaps by your own parents or one's family of origin or people in authority, they actually can plant a seed of self-doubt and second guessing. Thus, you don't truly learn how to make good decisions. You are more concerned about what other people think about your decisions, and it is difficult for learning to take place when it is done through fear of judgment and when the reinforcer involves the avoidance of pain, humiliation, or even punishment. And also, the cycle repeats when you attempt to relive a past experience to make it right. Perhaps you want a different ending or to gain a sense of mastery over the situation. There could be a desire for closure, insight into the other person's behavior, or a better understanding of yourself. Now, in order for you to break the cycle, you have to keep in mind some things. And these things play a role in the repetition of cycles. So I'm going to let you know some things to work through so that the cycles that you're engaging in can actually benefit and help you rather than hurt you. I need you to make a record of the patterns of behaviors you have. And you can do this by perhaps recording yourself, writing everything down, or even sharing what you're going through with others. So that could be through podcasts, blogging, and social media. In addition, you need to find out what your triggers are. And these are the things that really vamp up, and the stuff that you're exaggerated about, like when you get exaggerated in your emotional world, or maybe the mental reaction, to beyond what should be expected. You can ask yourself, why is this reaction I'm having? Why am I reacting that way? Is it really about that event that happened, or all the events that look like this one? And you need to try to understand your responses to these triggers. What do you do? Say, for example, when X and X happens. Why did you respond in that way? Is this actually an expected reaction? Would others respond in the same way given similar circumstances? Would you like to respond differently and perhaps be more adaptively to that? And it is important that you do this in a non-judgmental manner. And shame should not sit there. And remember that you are actually working towards understanding yourself and your patterns of behavior better. And during this process, it has nothing to do with cultivating shame or even breeding guilt. And I want you to also develop a hypothesis. So you need to brainstorm the underlying reason behind your behavior patterns, your triggers, and your responses. When did this start? When do you remember thinking this thought? And what is your earliest memory tying you to this particular emotional, mental, or behavioral reaction? How did others treat you in those moments? What messages are you telling yourself about perhaps that person, that situation, or that event? If you're having a difficult time trying to find out all of these things, it's highly recommended that you team up with a mental health expert. And those people can actually help you with all of this process. And I highly, highly recommend it to get faster results. And lastly, what I want to break to you is that is the beliefs or the behaviors that you're doing, are they actually serving you? And you need to be honest and you need to ask yourself whether holding on to these patterns of behaviors and engaging in these cycles, if they're actually serving you. Are you actually becoming a better human being? Because if you're not, this can actually deplete you and chip everything away from you. So, as you get to uncover the triggers and the patterns of your behavior, you can actually start to begin to unlearn the things that are actually holding you back from life. And keep in mind, if you can learn to engage in unhealthy patterns, then you can unlearn them also. And it's never too late for you, and healing is always possible. You just need to try.